If you can have them lined up. All right, Diane, are you ready? All right, we're going to go back on the record. In 2024, CR 0170, State of Texas versus John Stephen Meyer. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Hank Wilkins and Kevin Stone for the state, Your Honor.
Charlie Baird and Mark Stevens for Mr. Meyer, Judge.
And are you Mr. Meyer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You may be seated. All right, I've listened to the argument of both sides with regards to the motion to suppress on the statements and also the motion to suppress the search. And I want to let both parties know I internalized the arguments that was presented to me. And even though I was familiar with the cases that you both presented, I reread everything just to make sure it's as I remembered it. So with regards to the motion to suppress the search, that will be denied. And with regards to the motion to suppress the statement, that will be denied. Are both parties ready to proceed? State?
Ready? Oh, sorry. State's ready, Judge.
Defense?
Ready, Your Honor.
All right. How much time are you all asking for opening statements?
3 minutes, Judge.
All right. I usually don't put much of a time limit on opening statements. Okay.
I won't be able to do it in 3 minutes, Judge, but I'll do it as quick as I can.
Oh, no. I really don't put time limits on it. I just like to know so that I can be familiar with where we're going and how long it's going to take.
We will invoke the rule, Your Honor.
All right.
Do you want to, I have some witnesses here, Judge. Do you want to swear them in or do you want to do it later?
Oh, we can do it one at a time.
Okay.
So to the persons who are here, if you'll come forward, please. Let me just give you a few rules. I prefer to swear them in front of the jury so the jurors will know that they've been sworn in.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so to all of you, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you are not allowed to discuss your testimony or talk to anyone about this case. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense. Does everyone understand? You're not allowed to watch anything. Does everyone understand? All right, so if you will step out, thank you. And if everyone can just remember to keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear.
Yes, ma'am.
If you wish for us to remain seated, Judge.
Yes, and I'll let the jurors know. All right, let's bring them in. Okay. Oh, no, I understand. Yes.
All right, for the jury.
Oh, please be seated. We stand for you all. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you know in this courtroom, so to make it easier for you here to hear and for the court reporter to hear, I don't have the defense attorneys or the state's attorneys stand when they're making objections. I know sometimes we see different things on television where people are standing, but they're going to remain seated. It's hard for us as attorneys to remember to do that because other courts don't do it this way. But they're going to remain seated when they make their objections, and it's no sign of disrespect to the court. It's just something that will make it easier for everybody else to hear. Does everyone understand? Right. So I'm going to ask you all to raise your hand for me, please. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm in the case of the state of Texas versus John Stephen Meyer, you will a true verdict render according to the law and evidence, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. State.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Bexar County, state of Texas, duly organized, impaneled and sworn as such at the January term AD 2024 of the 186th Judicial District Court of said county, in said court, at said term, do present in and to said court, that in the county and state aforesaid, and anterior to the presentment of this indictment, count one, on or about the 8th day of August 2022, John Stephen Meyer did intentionally and knowingly possess a controlled substance, namely methamphetamine, which by aggregate weight, including any adulterants and dilutants, was of an amount 4 grams or more, but less than 200 grams. Count two, on or about the 8th day of August 2022, John Stephen Meyer did intentionally and knowingly possess a controlled substance, namely morphine, which by aggregate weight, including any adulterants and dilutants, was of an amount 1 gram or more, but less than 4 grams, against the peace and dignity of the state.
To each of those counts, how do you plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may be seated. State, do you have opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here with us. This is a drug case like we talked about on Monday. So what we're here to do is to prove to you those 7 elements that we talked about in War Diet. And that's all we're here today to prove. So what the evidence is going to show is that on August 8th, 2022, there was a warrant served on the defendant's house. And when that warrant was served, John Meyer, the defendant, was in possession of methamphetamine and morphine. And so as you consider the evidence, please try and keep in mind that that's what we're trying to prove here today is just those 7 elements.
Defense?
Legend Oaks is a neighborhood in the area in San Antonio known as Stone Oak. Some of you may know where Stone Oak is. It's a nice neighborhood. It's a gated community, nice houses. And on August the 8th, 2022, John was occupying that residence. And I said the houses are nice out there, and John had it occupying a nice house, but on August the 8th, it was a mess. You'll see it because it was under construction. You'll see pictures of it. The walls, some of the walls were down to the studs. There were studs sticking out without any walls on them in other places. There were tools everywhere, big tools, like big industrial size toolboxes. Ladders inside the house, floor down to the carpet. But that's not what I meant to say, floor down to the concrete, no carpet. A radial saw in the den. So what I'm saying is you'll see the pictures, a lot of construction going on. And when you have construction, what else do you have? You have construction workers. So John wasn't the only person residing in the house at 224 Majestic Grove on August the 8th, 2022. There was, you'll hear several names come up during trial. Let me see if I can get all the people I can think of, at least the people who were associated with the house, that house on August the 8th. So there would be, by the way, when the police broke down John's door, that door at the house, and came in the house that day, they were looking for drugs. And John comes out with this, because he was ordered everybody out. So he was ordered and his hands were up. And they searched him and they didn't find any drugs in his pocket on him. Other people came out. A man named David Alderete was living there, occupying that house at the same time and living in one of the rooms. There was a man named Michael McKenzie. Michael was a live-in carpenter in the house. There's another carpenter. He wasn't, he lived there, resided there, but he wasn't there when the police arrived. His name is John Sparks. You'll hear about John Sparks. John Sparks had a girlfriend named Kelly Couples. She was there in the house earlier that day. She and Sparks left before the police arrived. Mackenzie had, no, Alderetti had a girlfriend. Her name was Darian Sandoval. She was there when the police arrived. So a bunch of people, you hear a couple of other names associated with the house. Catherine London is a name you might hear. Richard Jordan. So there's a number of people associated with this house, but John Meyer is the only one in trial. So he said, just prove the 7 elements. Well, let's talk about those, because you heard a little bit about those the other day. What are they going to have to prove? Why are we here? You know, because Charlie did a really thorough job talking to you during jury selection. So what we had to do to find out. And so we know that you know about this thing lawyers call the presumption of innocence and how important it is. And we know that you agree with it, because if you didn't agree with it, you wouldn't be here. A lot of your neighbors during jury selection on Monday, they're not here because they said, I can't look at him and presume him innocent. He must be guilty of something. But all of you said, no, I can give him the presumption. 1 charge, 2 charges. I will make these people prove their case. And these are nice men. I like them. They're good lawyers too. And they're going to try really hard to prove their case to you. But you know what? They will not be able to prove it because John didn't possess any drugs, morphine, methamphetamine on August the 8th. Now, you don't have to take my word for it, and I wouldn't want you to. You'll hear the evidence when it comes in the courtroom over the next couple of days. And remember what you're going to have to be listening for, because that's what they have the burden to prove to you. Prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Prove it against a man presumed to be innocent. They have to prove to you that he was in possession of one or both of those drugs. And possession, as Charlie told you the other day, doesn't mean you were in the place where the drugs are found. What it means is there's a legal definition, and Judge Boyd will give it to you. The legal definition of possession is that you have, the state proves that you had actual care, control, custody, or management over it. That's what the definition is. And if they can't convince you beyond a reasonable doubt at the end of this, if you have a reasonable doubt, then your verdict has to be not guilty. So remember, the burden is going to be on them. And Charlie and I are going to have a few questions for the witnesses to see what they really know, because nobody can ask you to speculate. They're going to have to prove it. They're going to have to bring you proof. They're going to have to bring you proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I forgot Melissa Yanez. You'll hear that name. So when he says just, I don't like the word. All we have to prove is just possession, because that's what the case is about, and they can't do it.
All right, State, call your first witness.
State House Deputy George Rios.
All right, if you'll take a seat here, please. All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the members of the jury and the court reporter can hear. If you'll state your name for the record.
Jorge Rios, Jorge, Rios.
State?
Hi,
Texas.
Deputy Reeves.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. You
Oh,
go by
good.
George sometimes?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good deal. How long have you been with the Bear County Sheriff's Office?
For 17 years.
Okay. And how long have you worked in narcotics?
Probably about 3 to 4 years now.
How many arrests have you made in that time?
Dozens.
Okay. And how many investigations have you been a part of as part of your career there?
It's hard to say, but quite a few.
And did you have training when you joined the sheriff's office?
Yes, we went through an academy, and we've also done some continuing education, furthering investigation classes, stuff like that.
Okay. And is that like a yearly thing?
There is yearly classes that are state mandated, and then there's other classes that we have to take to continue to work in the units that we're in, like narcotics and stuff like that.
Okay. Were you working on August 5th, 2022?
Yes, I was.
And were you wearing your uniform that day?
No, I work in a covert unit, so I was wearing plain clothes.
And were you driving like a marked vehicle that day?
No, sir, I was in a white unmarked Chevy Silverado.
And so what were you doing on August 5th, 2022?
We were working on some tips our agency had received in regards to an address on Majestic Grove. We're set up there to covertly surveil and see if the information we were receiving was actually happening at that address.
Okay, and when you say we, who do you mean?
Myself and my partner,
Okay, what's your partner's name?
Deputy Salazar, Jesus Salazar.
Okay, and when you went out to the address, are y'all in the same car?
No, we're in two separate vehicles, so we can get a better vantage point of what's going on at the house.
And is he in a marked vehicle or is he in an unmarked vehicle?
No, he's in an unmarked covert vehicle.
Is he in a uniform?
No, he's not in a uniform at all.
Okay, so you're both plain clothes,
Yes.
unmarked cars.
Mhm.
Okay. So you went out there because of the tips to Majestic Grove. And can you describe the tips to the jury?
Objection to hearsay, Judge.
All right, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
I asked if you could describe what the tips that his agency received were.
All right, that'll be sustained.
What were you going out to the address to investigate?
Basically try to see if any of the information that we received was actually occurring at location, which was try to observe any foot traffic, any vehicle traffic,
I object hearsay, Judge.
All right, that'll be overruled.
and attempting to see if there's any type of suspicious activity at location that was pretty much being described to us.
Okay, and when you say foot traffic and vehicle traffic, can you tell the jury what you mean by that?
It's a gated subdivision. So there was a lot of the information we were receiving was that there was unknown
Objection to
vehicles,
hearsay.
cars.
Sustained.
Oh,
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
All right. Once I sustain an objection, you're not allowed to answer it.
Okay,
If ever I make a ruling on an objection and you don't understand what my ruling means, just ask me.
okay.
All right, thank you.
So because it's a gated subdivision, was it your belief that somehow folks were out from outside the neighborhood had the gate code and were coming in?
Yes,
Okay. And so that's what you're going out there to investigate?
that and just to observe, see if there was anything that would reasonably fit our description of narcotics activity or some type of criminal activity.
Okay. And so when you went out there on the 5th, what time did you get out there?
It was early morning, maybe about 5 a.m.
And did you see anything out there that corroborated those tips?
It took some time, several hours we were out there, and it wasn't till maybe midday where we started seeing movement at the location. Vehicles coming and going at short times, staying short times, which is pretty much indicative of, some type of narcotic activity.
Okay, and can you explain that to the jury a little bit more? Just folks coming and going short times, what do you mean?
When we're seeing that, it's usually people showing up, going into the house for a few minutes, coming right back out, and then driving off. It could happen at different increments of time. It's almost like a shop kind of atmosphere or activity, which could lead you to believe that there's something else going on there. It's not what normal people coming to visit do.
Okay. And so based on your training and experience, that was consistent with some kind of illegal activity?
Yes.
And how long were you out there on the fifth?
The 5th, I would say we were out to at least 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock.
And did you do any research on the address to find out who was living there?
We researched the address that was given to us. We use a database clear system. That system is pretty much like a credit bureau system. It gives you information based on who's living at that address, what kind of bills are being sent to that address, any ownership of vehicles, things of that nature, to tell you, how long somebody's been reporting to those credit bureaus as living at that address.
And what names were associated with the address?
Objection to hearsay, Judge.
State response?
Your Honor, this is within the witness's own personal knowledge. He did the research himself into the on the clear system to find out what kind of names were associated with the address.
Right, that objection will be sustained unless the state has another answer.
Can you tell the jury a little bit more about that clear system that you did research on? What is that?
It's a system that the law enforcement pays for to utilize those as research tools.
Okay. Did any bills come back to any particular names associated with the house through that system?
Yes.
And what was that name?
Objection to
John.
hearsay.
That'll be overruled.
John Meyer?
The defendant.
Yes.
And I should have gone over this at the top, but that address that you were at, is that in Bear County?
Yes, it is.
Okay, it's just a part of our. So was that all you did on the fifth? Out at that location?
Yes,
And did you go back on the eighth?
we did.
Okay, so that's August 8th, 2022. And what time did you get out to the location?
About the same time, early morning, 5.
And did you see anything out there that was concerning?
One of the things we had observed on Friday was a black Jeep that was mentioned in some of the information that was being provided.
All right, that will be overruled.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
We received information through the tips that there was a black Jeep that was at the location several times. We did notice it there on Friday. Ran the registration and didn't have anything to lead us, to think that something else was going on. We did observe it again on Monday morning when we showed up, which would be the 8th. And it wasn't until several hours later that we started seeing movement again. At that point, it kind of piqued our interest again, the black Jeep and the information. So we reviewed that over again.
Why did it pique your interest?
Because the information that was being provided that the Jeep had some type of connection to what they felt may be suspicious activity at that location, at that house.
And who was out there with you on the 8th?
Early morning was just myself and Deputy Salazar, my partner. And then as the morning continued on, at about 9 a.m. is when everybody starts reporting to shift. So we were out early before shift. The rest of the units started coming in, but didn't make our area. We asked for some help, so we got another deputy, covert deputy, Deputy Wolf, to come out and assist us with the surveillance.
And so are you outside the house the whole time?
At that point I was, yes, from the early morning hours till probably around 11:30 in the morning, somewhere around there, I was inside the gated subdivision in a cul-de-sac area. And Salazar was further down on a side street where we had those 2 vantage points of the house. After some of the guys started coming in to help with the surveillance, then I moved outside the gate.
Okay, so and at that point you couldn't see the house.
No, I could not.
But before you moved, can you tell the jury a little bit more about the black Jeep? What was sticking out to you about that?
The black Jeep, just we wanted to see what type of movement that that vehicle was going to make. It was something that the tips that were coming in were saying that it's
Objection to
ongoing.
hearsay, Judge.
All right, that'll be sustained.
And so when you relocated to outside the gate, did you receive information that the black Jeep had left the house?
Yes, via radio, the surveillance units that were on the street advised that the Jeep had moved. There was a white female that came out of the house, got into the Jeep. I remember them describing that it backing out and going towards the cul-de-sac, not towards the exit, because I was positioning myself outside the gate to make sure I was ready. And the Jeep went and checked on one of our covert units, tried to figure out who was in the truck. And then they stated it went right back to the address. And the female went inside for a few minutes, came back out with some items, put them in the Jeep, and backed out of the driveway and then headed towards the exit gate.
Okay, and where are you? You're outside the gate?
I'm right outside the gate. Across the street, there's a Dunkin' Donuts. I was parked in the Dunkin' Donuts, and it has a straight view of Majestic Grove, the entrance and exit gate right across from there. So I can see the cars coming in and coming out of that exit gate. That's only way in, only way out.
And so did you see the black Jeep after you heard about it on the radio? You saw it exit?
Yes,
And then did you communicate with other officers about seeing the black Jeep?
I did. We had marked units there now that were in full uniform and full patrol marked units, advising the other units that, you know, the Jeep was moving now. We conducted rolling surveillance for a short time, few minutes, and the marked unit then caught up with us or caught up with me and follow the vehicle and establish their own PC to conduct the traffic stop.
And so can you tell the jury about rolling surveillance? What do you mean by that?
Rolling surveillance is basically you're following a vehicle, you're tailing a car at a safe distance so that you don't get made that you're
Excuse me, Officer.
following.
Judge, I object to this as being irrelevant as it relates to the search of the home.
All right, that objection will be overruled.
So rolling surveillance, is that you and one other deputy, two other deputies?
Yeah, it's usually two of us. If we have the manpower and everybody's there, we try to do two so we can break off and another one jump in and break off, another one jump in. So I'm sorry.
So who was the other deputy doing rolling surveillance with you that day?
At that point, I believe Deputy Salazar was also in the rolling surveillance. It was a short distance. It wasn't very far.
Okay. Was it Deputy Wolf involved?
Deputy Wolf was also involved. I believe he was, oh, you know what? He may have broke off. One of those two units broke off to conduct the rolling surveillance, but it wasn't very far where we went to, so it didn't last very long.
Okay, and then another deputy in a marked vehicle pulled over the Jeep?
Yeah, as we're advising on the radio where our location is and where we're at on the roadways, the other marked unit was nearby and caught up to where we were at.
Just one moment. So once you saw the Jeep, did it make any stops anywhere?
It did not make any stops. That's one of the things we're focusing on to see if it makes any stops anywhere or meets with anybody in between. And that was important to us
And why is that important?
because it creates a link to the home.
Objection,
It
Judge.
establishes a link
That's
to the
cause
house.
for legal
Just one
conclusion.
second. All right, that objection will be sustained.
Would you ask the jury to instruct to disregard that response, please, Judge?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're to disregard the last answer given by the witness. Does everyone understand?
And we respectfully move from this trial.
All right, that will be denied.
How far were you, or about how long were you following the Jeep before the marked vehicle showed up and took over?
It had to have been minutes. It wasn't very long at all.
Okay, less than 5 minutes?
I would say, yeah.
Judge, we passed the witness, but we'd like this witness to be subject to recall.
All right. Defense?
Thank you, Judge. Officer Rios, let me ask you a little bit about August the 5th. That was a Friday, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you set up surveillance with Deputy Salazar,
Yes, sir.
and you were both in unmarked vehicles, and you're both wearing plain clothes, correct?
Yes.
And y'all stayed there from 5 in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon
Yes.
and then left.
Yes, sir.
Did you return on Saturday?
No, sir.
Did you return on Sunday?
No, sir.
To your knowledge, did anybody else with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office or San Antonio Police Department or in law enforcement generally return on Saturday or Sunday?
Not to my knowledge. No, sir.
So there was no mention or no indication of suspicious activity on either Saturday or Sunday, correct?
Not that I'm aware of. No, sir.
Now, you mentioned this is a gated community. And I take it that you and Salazar came within the gate to conduct your surveillance, is that right?
Yes.
And you both parked within eyesight, I guess, of the residents?
Yes, sir.
Just, I'd like to approach, do I need to ask to approach before?
No.
Okay, thank you. Also, let me show you what has been marked.
Oh, counsel, you can go around that way. Yes.
Let me turn my back to the jury.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Let me show you what has been marked as defendants exhibits 1 and 8 and ask you if you can identify those.
That looks like the house.
Does it appear to be an accurate representation of the house as it appeared on August the 8th of 2022?
I believe so. Yeah, I can't see the side. There's a big driveway on the side that caught my attention. Then you can see the tennis
Hold on a
court.
second. I got you. Hold on
Okay.
just a second. Talking about the driveway.
The
Maybe
tennis
add-
court. I'm sorry.
Just
Add
one
to
sec,
those.
one second. So make sure that it's only one person speaking at a time, because otherwise it's difficult for the court reporter to take it down.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Let me show you what has now been marked as 6 and 7 defendants exhibits. Do you recognize those? In connection with
Yes.
each other, with all these
Yes.
that appear to be the residents there?
Yes, sir.
They appear to be doctor or altered in any way,
No.
appear to be accurate to you.
Mhm.
Judge, we would offer defendants 1, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, I really get that.
All right, any objections?
Sorry, Judge. No objection, Your Honor.
All right, defense exhibits 1, 8, 6, and 7 are admitted without objection.
Judge,
Yes,
we lawyers are lacking in technological awareness and ability, so I'm gonna just show these. Do you mind if I pass these?
you may pass it, or if you want to, they're going to hook that up. And then we can show it on the screen.
I'm having a little trouble, Judge.
All right.
I'm gonna do my best here.
May I pass them or should I pass them to the bailiff?
Oh, no, just give us 1 second. We're going to make this is going to work.
Okay.
All right. In the center of the table. And do you have that turned on? The actual,
There it is, Judge. Thank you.
okay, you know? All right, so just give us a moment. There we go.
You can move the top portion.
Yes. If you'll move the light so it won't shine on the photo. I don't want to come down from the bench, but I will if need be. There we go.
How about that? Good job.
Hey.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, you all may proceed.
So this is a picture of the home, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you and I have seen these, but the jurors haven't. I'm gonna talk to them about it and publish these. This is Defendant's Exhibit A. There we go. Got that. That's the site. Can you tell me, is this about where you were positioned when you were conducting your surveillance?
No, sir. I was parked more towards the cul-de-sac area, which is the other side of the house.
Tell me something. If I'm walking in the front door, let me do this.
If you need the witness to step into the well to point on the exhibit,
Yes, ma'am.
you're more than welcome to have him do that.
Thank you, Judge. This is a picture now of the front door, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if I'm walking in the front door, is the cul-de-sac to my right or to my left?
If you're walking into the front door, the cul-de-sac is to your left of the house.
To the left, okay. And so you were down in this direction,
Yes.
but you could see the home,
I could see the, yes, I could.
and then that was Defendant's Exhibit 1, and I'm gonna show you Defendant's Exhibit 6. Is that the driveway?
Yes, sir.
And Defendant's Exhibit number 7. Is that also the driveway?
Yes.
I think the same individuals in both of these pictures. And these were Exxon body photographs. Do you know if these came from your body worn cam or somebody else's?
No, sir.
Did you ever wear a body worn cam on either the 5th or the 8th?
No, sir.
And that's because you were in plain clothes.
Plain clothes. Yes, sir.
Now, after you left on that Friday and returned on the Monday at 5 a.m., is that correct? You and Salazar again?
Yes, sir.
And you start out with your surveillance being inside the gate
Yes.
and the same for Salazar?
Yes, sir.
And about 9 o'clock, you said that another officer, Wolf, arrived.
Yes.
Can you tell me the other officers who arrived along with Wolf at about that time?
I don't know. I don't think anyone else came out at that point because at that point, all we were doing is surveillance.
And I, just so that I'm clear, on August the 8th, you and Salazar are both in unmarked vehicles and wearing plain clothes, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Wolf, I take it, is in a marked patrol vehicle.
He's in plain clothes as well, in an unmarked vehicle.
And tell me about, you mentioned at some point that you go from inside the gated area to outside the gated area.
Yes, sir.
And when you do that, does Wolf come inside the gated area?
Yes.
And you're just sitting there in the parking lot of the donut shop to,
I went to use the bathroom. I know that. And then I sat at that donut shop right there or right outside in the parking lot.
okay? And you sat there until until you understood the black Jeep was leaving the premises?
The radio chatter was that there was movement at the house. And then they mentioned that the black Jeep, white female, had made some movements and driven over to the cul-de-sac to try to look there, drove back to the house. That's when I started to position myself to
You
better at that location.
You mentioned something that I'm not quite clear about, and if you can't answer the question, that's perfectly fine. We'll ask another officer. But you said that she went to the cul-de-sac and tried to do what?
To pretty much look at the vehicle that was parked there, which was Deputy Wolf, and try to see, she was blatantly trying to look into the car. Those vehicles they're tinted windows. It's a black truck or pickup truck. There's no markings, nothing on it. So it was obvious that they were trying to see, who's parked there.
But you didn't see that because you were outside.
Right. I was outside the gate. That's what was being told on the radio. Hey, they're
So you get information that this person is trying to look inside a vehicle to see if anybody's in there or what?
yes.
Have you written that down anywhere before? Reported
No, that
anywhere?
was just the surveillance that we were conducting
Do you
at that
recall
point.
who told you that?
Deputy Wolf would have put that out.
And is he still with the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
And then was it your understanding that the person in the black Jeep returned to the residence
Yes, sir.
and
That's what
then
we-
came back out, I think you said with some items,
yes,
got back in the Jeep and left the subdivision, correct?
yes, sir.
And when that person left the subdivision, what did you do?
I positioned myself to maintain surveillance on it as he was exiting the gate.
And what did Wolf do?
Wolf, I believe, I don't recall exactly what he did.
Okay.
I know someone else started to come out to follow with me so that I try to at least have two vehicles on that black Jeep.
What did Salazar do?
I believe he stayed on the house. I want to say he stayed on the house.
Okay, let's assume then for our working premise that you and Wolf then, do y'all follow and conduct surveillance on the black Jeep?
The rolling surveillance, yes.
And at some point well, let me just jump ahead then. You said, I think surveillance for 5 minutes
At maybe that tops, yeah.
and then a marked vehicle, patrol vehicle is brought in
Yes,
and they get involved and intercept the black Jeep, correct?
yes.
Okay. And is that pretty much, after that happens, do you go back to the residence or what do you do?
No, I stayed off to the shoulder of the roadway and just positioned myself there on the side away from the traffic stop.
After, let's leave the traffic stop. What time did you leave the traffic stop and where did you go?
I don't remember what time I left that area, but I did go back to the house, or in that area of, yeah, that's where I was positioned at.
Okay, and did you stay there until the home was later breached and searched?
I drove off from that location to meet with other units that were coming down and pretty much brief the address, what we were looking at and where we were positioned at. So that the other units that were on the way would understand where we were at.
I'm sorry, Madam. While you were there at the residence, did you see these three vehicles?
Yes.
Do you recall radioing and giving the license plates number to determine who owned those vehicles?
That would have been done on the 5th, which was on Friday.
You think these three vehicles were there on the 5th as well?
Yes, we ran the plates. We won't radio them in. We would run the information, the plates that we have.
You don't, you can run them from your vehicle.
Yeah, from the laptops that we carry.
This picture here, according to the body cam, was taken on August the 8th.
Mhm.
So the same vehicles were there on the 5th and on the 8th.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you determine if John Meyer was the owner of any of those vehicles?
I don't recall.
Did you prepare an offense report in relation to your investigation of this case?
Offense report would have been my supplemental.
Let me show you this. It doesn't have the exhibit on it. Is that your report? Is that your supplemental?
Supplemental, yes, sir.
And is that all you provided as far as a report?
Yes.
So now then, you're back at the residence, and do you how is the residence entered by law enforcement?
With a entry team, which would consist of uniformed deputies, most of them consisting as SWAT operators.
And once the premises are entered, do you go inside with the other officers, or do you stay outside?
Majority of the time, I'm standing outside with the persons that are detained
Okay.
until the scene is deemed secure.
Let's talk about the people who were detained. Do you recall who those individuals were?
I remember John Meyer. I don't recall the others. I know there was a young lady that was pregnant.
Does the name Darian Sandoval ring a bell?
Darian Sandoval.
Being a
I
pregnant
want to
lady?
say it might have been the pregnant female, yeah.
Okay.
There was at least two others, Hispanic male, and I believe a white male.
Does the name David Aldretti ring a bell
Yes,
as being the Hispanic male?
yes,
And Mike McKenzie as far as being the Anglo male, white male?
yes.
Okay. Anybody else that you recall?
No, sir.
While you were there, did you see anybody, while you were there on surveillance, did you see anybody leave the house?
I did not. No, I did not. I don't recall.
You said that you stayed mainly outside with the individuals who were being detained. Did you ever enter the home?
Yes,
Was the home, to put it politely, a mess?
yes.
It was a mess, wasn't it? And was it clear to you that it was a construction site undergoing a major refurbishing?
In certain parts of the home, it did look like that. Yes.
Let me show you defendants exhibits 2 through 5 inclusive and ask you if you can identify those.
I can't recognize that part of the home.
Okay, and that's 2. That's okay if you can't recognize. it,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay. No, I'm not sure where that is.
Okay.
I think this was part of the living room
Okay.
where the boxes were.
Okay, we'll put that one aside then.
And I believe this was part of the bedroom, the master bedroom.
So you identified defendants exhibits 4 and 5, and do they appear to be accurate representations of the residences, that portion of the residences they appeared on August the 8th?
Yes, sir.
Don't appear to be altered or
No, sir.
in any way. We would offer defendants 4 and 5, Judge.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, defense exhibits 4 and 5 are admitted.
Let me show you that one, which is 4. These items here, what are those?
Appears to be toolboxes.
And this picture there, does that appear to be a wall with the sheetrock removed and having the studs there?
Yes, sir.
it says in your report that you assisted in searching the location.
Yes, sir.
And when you say location, does that mean the residence?
Yes, sir.
And then it says, I did not recover any narcotics. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then it says, I assisted in securing seized items onto the Bexar County flatbed truck.
Yes, sir.
And what items were seized and placed on the flatbed truck?
I don't remember the extent of what was seized. I know there was quite a bit of equipment that was seized. But I don't remember it altogether.
And when you say equipment, are you talking about tools? Are you talking about vehicles? Or
I remember those toolboxes for sure.
They seized the toolbox?
Yes. Yeah.
And you specifically recall doing that?
I recall seeing them getting put up onto the flatbed. Yeah.
And you said, I did not recover any narcotics. I take it that you at some point went inside the residence and looked for narcotics.
Yes.
Okay, so you were inside the residence for some time.
Yes.
Let me show you defendants exhibit 10 and 11 and ask you.
A pill bottle with meth in it, or what appears to be methamphetamine. I don't remember that.
So you recognize 11?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it appears to be accurate as well
Yes, sir.
from August the 8th.
Mhm.
Judge, we would offer defendants exhibit number 11.
No objection, Your Honor.
Right, defendants, exhibit number 11 is admitted without objection.
Is 11 something that you saw yourself? Do you recall?
I don't recall if I saw it myself.
Let me ask you this, did you take pictures? I'm gonna, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. That's great. Thank you. Not confused. Let me ask you this, did you take any of the pictures?
No, sir.
Did Salazar take the picture?
Yes, sir.
And you know who else other than Salazar took pictures?
I do not.
But this appears to be a medicine bottle that was inside the house on August 8th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. May I have just a moment, Judge?
Yes.
Let me talk to you a little bit about license plates.
Yes, sir.
You said that you ran the license plates from inside your patrol vehicle, correct?
Yes.
On those 3 vehicles that are in the evidence now, pictures of it, correct?
If I had a good clear view of that license plate, I would have run them.
Did you take down the license plates of anybody else other than those 3?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
You said that there appeared to be people coming and going. You didn't take down any of the license plates of the people coming and going?
No, we did not. But, well, no, we did not.
Okay, thank you. Let me, I want to show you something. And just so that we're clear. The body cam You wear body cameras often, do you not?
I wear body cameras when I'm in full uniform.
Just like you are today.
Yes, sir.
You got a body cam on today, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you. On Defendant's Exhibit 4. The top up there, do you see that?
Yes,
You
sir.
can hold it if you
Yeah,
want to.
no, I can see it. Yes, sir.
And does that give you some information about the date and the time and things of that nature?
Mhm.
Or sometimes the times that are displayed, are they off for some reason, one reason or another?
I haven't seen the times and dates off. I've seen where they're not assigned to the case number or incident number that it goes to, but I've never seen it be off on the time or date.
Okay, then maybe you're not the right one to ask, and if you're not, that's perfectly fine with me. But do you recall the search occurring around roughly 5 o'clock in the afternoon on August the 8th?
I don't remember the exact time.
Okay,
I don't.
then I appreciate that very much. Thank you, officer.
Yes, sir.
Judge, at this time, we'll pass the witness, and we would also like to have them available for your call.
All right. Any redirect?
Yes, ma'am. Do you recognize this disc?
Yes, sir. That's the disc you showed me in that initial.
Okay, and so were you the one, the cameraman in this, who operated the camera in this disc?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you recognize it. What's this up here? How do you recognize it?
That has my first initial, last name, badge number, and the date.
Okay. And for identification for the record, this is Defendant's Exhibit PT1 for now. Do you want to? Judge, do you want me to renumber?
All
this?
right, if you all can approach,
Sorry.
please.
I don't want to.
Could the defense and state approach?
That's all right. You direct yourself.
Oh, and just so you all know too, you can sit in whatever seats you want to over there.
That part stuff.
Left our stuff. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, state, it's your witness.
Deputy Rios, you recognize, can you tell us what's written right here?
First initial, last name, and my badge number, and the date 1/23/24.
Okay, and you were the camera operator for this video?
Yes.
Okay. And for the record, this is gonna be State's Exhibit 4. Pass the witness, Judge.
All right, defense.
Deputy Rios, let me ask you a couple more questions about defendant's exhibit number 11. You recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it's been introduced and admitted into evidence. This is a pill bottle. Is this the condition of the pill bottle when you first saw it?
I don't recall. I don't
Okay.
recall.
When I say the condition of the pill bottle, was it, when you saw it, was there, was the lid on it, or do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, when you saw it, was there an item inside the pill bottle, or do you know?
I don't recall.
But you do recognize seeing this pill bottle in that residence on that day.
Yes.
When you say you went in the home and saw the pill bottle, did you go throughout the entirety of the home, or did they say you go to the kitchen area versus another area?
No, I believe I went through the entirety of the home.
Do you recall who the other officers were that went inside the home?
I don't recall all of them.
There were some other officers I think that we had kind of worked our way through you, Salazar, and Wolf, as far as being the named officers so far
Yes, sir.
for the jury. Was there also a fellow by the name of Molina there?
Deputy Molina, yes, sir.
Was there an officer by the name of M.A. there?
Yes.
An officer by the name of Hunt
Yes, sir.
and Luna,
Yes, sir.
Garcia?
Yes, sir.
I think there's somebody in here whose name starts with a J that I can't pronounce. Does that ring a bell to you?
Mm,
Is that pretty much, with the exception of the one person whose name I can't find right now, does that pretty much, tell you everybody that was there, is your recollection?
yes, sir.
Let's have a second. And these officers that, oh, here it is. And here's why I can't pronounce it. Jarzambek, Jarzonbek.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did all of those officers go inside the home as well and conduct a search?
I believe at one point or another, yes, sir.
All right. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, and both parties have said this witness is subject to recall. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Judge.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense. You're not allowed to watch anything related to this case. Do you understand? All
Yes, Your Honor.
right, just make sure you're available if either party needs to recall you.
Yes, ma'am.
You may step down.
Thank you.
State, call your next witness.
Judge, I'll call Deputy Suarez, but maybe first approach on this witness.
Yes. May approach.
They call Deputy Suarez.
All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can have a seat. Make sure you keep your voice up so the members of the jury and the court reporter can hear. And if you'll state your name for the record.
Jeffrey Allen Suarez.
All right, state.
Deputy Suarez, how are you presently employed, sir?
I'm employed with the Bear County Gang Unit,
And how long have you been employed with Bear County?
10 years.
And throughout those 10 years, what different units have you been tasked to?
So initially I started off at the jail, 2 years on the floors, promoted to corporal, worked in classification. From classification, I did that for 2 years, went out to patrol, spent another year and a half there. After that, I went to the DWI task force for 2 years. And then once the Texas Anti-Gang Unit opened up, I transferred over to the gang unit.
And what kind of certifications and trainings have you received from Bear County to be a jailer, a patrolman on the DWI task force and in the gang unit?
So initially I go through, I believe it's a 3-month academy for the detention to become a detention deputy. Passed the state exam for that. Also went to the San Antonio Law Enforcement Training Academy during that time. Over there, it's about a year. At that time, it was for a full year for that police academy. Once I did that, after 4 years at the jail, transitioned over to the patrol side. That was another 14 weeks on patrol in that academy, with another 12 weeks on an field training program, and then multiple gang courses, DWI as well, for continuing education.
And do you go through multiple continuing education courses per year?
Yes,
And are you up on those continuing education courses?
yes,
As part of the gang unit, are you still part of the gang unit?
yes,
And as part of the gang unit, do y'all often do joint investigations with plainclothes detectives?
yes,
And were you doing that on August 8th of 2022?
yes.
And if you had a copy of your report from August 8th, 2022, would that assist you in your testimony today?
Yes, it will.
Judge, may I approach?
Yes.
Please don't read off this, but if I ever ask you a question and you don't remember the answer to, you can refresh your memory with this report.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. And so on August 8th of 2022, Deputy Suarez, what part of town were you patrolling?
At that time, it was north side of town, around Hardy Oaks Boulevard.
What do you recall about August 8th, 2022?
I was advised by a few of our deputies with the covert unit of that they were going to conduct surveillance in that area for possible narcotics or other offenses.
And had you been in contact with the plainclothes detectives that entire day?
Yes,
And were you staying in that part of town the entire day to assist in this investigation?
yes,
Judge, may I approach?
Yes.
Were you driving your marked patrol vehicle that day?
so yes, it is marked. It is but it's a stealth graphics, if that makes any difference. So it does say the Bear County Sheriff's Office on it, but it's just that not full decaled out.
Instead of being black on white, it's like white on white kind of thing?
This one was like a charcoal gray.
Okay.
Yes,
Understood. What kind of car was that?
Chevy Tahoe.
And was that car equipped with a camera system?
Yes, it is.
And was that camera system operational on August 8th, 2022?
Yes,
And were you also equipped with body cam on August 8th, 2022?
yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked States Exhibit 2 and States Exhibit 3 for your identification. Do you recognize these items?
Yes.
And what do you recognize these items to be?
My dash cam footage for the incident, also my body worn camera as well.
And when you refer to the incident, what are you talking about?
The traffic stop that I had conducted on August 8th.
And have you watched these two discs, the footage on these two discs?
Yes,
And is the footage on these two discs, are these fair and accurate depictions of your investigation and your traffic stop that day?
yes,
And to your knowledge, they have not been altered?
no,
Judge, at this time, I'd move to admit these into evidence pending objection.
And what are the exhibit numbers?
These are State's Exhibit 2, which is Deputy Suarez's dash cam, and State's Exhibit 3, which is Deputy Suarez's body cam.
Defense?
Judge, we would re-urge the objection previously made.
All right. The objections will be overruled. States exhibits number 2 and 3 are admitted into evidence.
Permission to publish, Judge?
Granted.
So Deputy Suarez, you testified that you were in the Hardy Oak Boulevard area, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall around what time?
That time it was around 1 o'clock, one afternoon, or 1 p.m., 1:20.
And around 1:20, what sticks out to you about August 8th, 2022?
During that time, actually a few of the plainclothes deputies had called out a Jeep leaving a location of interest with a female that arrived in the passenger or got into the driver's seat with a couple bags in the vehicle, leaving the house that they were watching, conducting surveillance on.
Publishing State's Exhibit 2. And Deputy, this is muted, as you and I recall, during our investigation pre-trial. So if I could ask you to narrate what's happening here for the jury, please.
So at this time, I am directly behind the vehicle that was described. Plainclothes deputy was conducting surveillance and had followed that vehicle the entire time it left the area. The Jeep, during this, prior to coming up to this traffic light, I had observed it speeding at 43 in a posted 35-mile-per-hour zone.
And is going 45 into 35, does that give you reason to pull this vehicle over?
Yes. So by this time, I'd already activated my lights. I tried not to activate it early because of the area. There's nowhere really anywhere for them to pull off safely. So I waited to the intersection so they can pull off to a safe location.
Stopping State's Exhibit 2. Judge, permission to publish State's Exhibit 3.
You may proceed.
Pass this to you. Yeah. And does that Jeep that we just saw on the dash cam resemble the Jeep that you heard to be called out over the radio?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, was that the Jeep that had just come from the address on Mallow Grove?
Yes.
And if you know the answer to this question, please answer it. But had that Jeep stopped anywhere in between leaving that house and you pulling it over?
No.
Again, Deputy, this video is muted, so please help us with narration here. I'll pull it up right now. State is publishing State's Exhibit 3.
So generally, once my body camera is on, and I hit my lights, it automatically turns on my body camera. So this is just showing me inside the vehicle until I make contact with the driver of that vehicle.
So at this point, was there anything going towards your reasonable suspicion about this vehicle besides the speeding?
I'm sorry, one more time.
At this point, was there anything going towards your reasonable suspicion about this vehicle or the driver of this vehicle besides the fact that she was speeding?
Yes.
And what was that?
The covert deputies had advised of the subject placing bags inside the vehicle, which, based on my prior experiences, are sometimes narcotics or other things of monetary value are to be placed in those bags as well.
So at this point, you make contact with this driver, correct?
Yes.
And who did you determine this driver to be?
Melissa Yanis.
Was there anything that drew your attention or raised your suspicions about Melissa Yanes right off the bat?
Melissa Yanis, she appeared to be very nervous. Generally, I advise them who I am, the reason for the traffic stop, and I ask for a copy of driver's license and proof of insurance.
And was she able to give you all those things?
It took her a good while to give me that, but eventually she did, yes.
Did she actually have a driver's license?
Yes.
I know you testified about, or can you tell us again why you were suspicious of Miss Yanes? About that.
So she, when I asked for her insurance, um, she fumbled around a lot and provided me with a copy of her registration paperwork rather than her proof of insurance. Once I asked for her, I advised her of that. She continued to look. She was able to find her insurance. Again, took her a little bit. And then I had asked her for her driver's license. And instead of providing me with a driver's license, she provided me with a copy of her Texas ID identification card. Um, I had to advise her again that it was the wrong information I was asking for. And during the entire time that she was in here, she was still unable to find her driver's license.
And did you call for a canine unit during this investigation?
I did.
Why'd you do that?
Based off of her, the information I had received by our uniform, I mean, sorry, by our plainclothes deputies and her nervous behavior, I had asked for consent to search the vehicle. She denied.
And so who'd you call to get that canine unit out to the scene?
So I had initially asked for a Bexar County K-9 unit, which was unavailable at the time. I asked for a San Antonio K-9 unit, which was also unavailable. So a trooper with Texas Department of Public Safety arrived. I believe it was Deputy Garza.
And how long did it take Deputy Garza to arrive on scene after you had requested his presence?
Roughly about 45 minutes.
Is that typical?
No.
What was the explanation for that delay in this case?
Generally, we try to find the K-9 deputy that's closest to the area, but because our units were unavailable and also the San Antonio Police Department, which is the jurisdiction I'm currently in, we had to ask for a third agency, which is Texas DPS.
So was he essentially the closest unit available?
Yes.
And he got there as fast as he could?
Yes.
And when he got there, what happened after the canine showed up?
After Deputy Garza and the K-9 arrived, Deputy Garza briefly spoke to her, did a free air sniff of the vehicle, and the K-9 or Deputy Garza advised that there was a positive alert on that vehicle that the K-9 had made.
And if it's within your knowledge, can you tell the jury what a open air sniff is?
So to the best of my abilities, open air sniff, the dog is sent around the vehicle, sniffing the contents of that vehicle. And if the dog is trained to pick up on certain narcotics or whatever they're looking for, it will notify, it will signal, give the handler a signal, letting them know that there's a positive alert.
Purpose of the record, I'm gonna skip forward through the 45 minutes that we're waiting for the canine here to 19:10:50. And at this point, is that Trooper Garza's Tahoe right there?
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I think it takes about another 4 minutes for anything to happen. So I'm going to skip forward to 19:14:40. Does he have the dog yet? Oh yeah, the glass. During this time period, when y'all are waiting for Trooper Garza to conduct his canine search, was Miss Yanez nervous?
Yes.
And when and if Trooper Garza's dog has a hit on this vehicle, does he search the vehicle or do you search the vehicle?
I searched the vehicle.
And did that happen in this case?
Yes.
Again, I'm gonna skip forward to when the search occurs, which I believe is at 19:15:50. At this point, are you beginning your search?
Yes.
Do you recall what all was seized from Miss Yanez's Jeep?
Uh, may I look at my report?
Yes, sir. Please
I-
do.
If I can give you the correct amounts,
Already.
370.26 grams of methamphetamine, $3,670 in cash. Digital scales and baggies as well.
Is that indicative of personal consumption?
No,
What does that tell you?
usually with the bags and the digital scales and the methamphetamine itself was in individual packages, usually signifies that there's narcotic distribution.
What's that in your hand right there, sir?
That is one of the bags of methamphetamine,
And so at this point in the video, what are you doing with Miss Yanez?
placing her under arrest.
I'm gonna skip forward to 19:26:30, which is the latter part of the search. So at this stage in the search, what are you looking at? What are we looking at here?
This is a pink drawstring bag that one of the plainclothes deputies had advised of. Inside is several bags of methamphetamine, another black box which had more methamphetamine inside of it.
And to your knowledge, this Jeep had just come directly from 224 Majestic Grove, correct?
Yes.
Ask the witness, Judge.
Defense.
What is your first name, Officer Flores?
Jeffrey?
Jeffrey, thank you. Do you know John Meyer?
No.
Ever seen him before?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you see him?
I saw him on another search warrant that was conducted.
let's talk about the one on August the 8th, all right? And as it relates to Mr. Meyer and the stop of Miss Yanez, okay? Was Mr. Meyer with Miss Yanez?
No,
Was he, did you find any identification in Miss Yanez's vehicle? Like a driver's license, insurance card, credit card, anything like that with the name or identification of John Meyer on it?
not that I observed, no.
And you did a thorough search of the vehicle, correct?
Yes,
As it relates to Miss Yanez, the methamphetamine, you said the total weight was 370 grams, correct?
yes,
And you feel free to use your report, okay? You found some of that, that the 370 grams is aggregate weight, correct?
correct.
And you found some of that in a purse,
Yes,
and I think you found some of that in her wallet,
yes,
and I think that you found some of it in a pink bag,
yes,
and then you found some more in a black box, correct?
yes,
And then there was also a fairly large amount of money, $3,670,
yes,
and also a digital scale.
yes,
And all that was found in the exclusive possession of Miss Yanez, correct?
yes.
Did you determine if the vehicle that Miss Yanez was driving, the black Jeep, was owned by John Meyer?
I do not recall.
Have any reason to believe that you said that she provided you registration, correct?
Correct.
And the registration showed that she was in fact the owner of the vehicle, correct?
I honestly do not recall.
Or did you have any reason to believe after going through all this that it was not her vehicle?
No,
Or that the vehicle belonged to anybody else?
no,
Did you, in addition to the items that you talked about that you seized, did you also receive her cell phone, seize her cell phone?
yes.
And that was taken into custody?
That was, yes, yes.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
State,
Nothing further.
all right, is this witness
Oh,
excused?
I'm sorry. Let me stop for just a second. Do you mind, Judge? I
No.
apologize. What you're doing here is you're coordinating with the other officers, and what you're doing is called a pretext stop, correct?
Yes,
And you're trying to figure out some violation that you can legally pull her over for, but you don't care what that violation is, correct?
yes,
You're there to see if you can get consent to search the car or to get a dog to hit on the car and search the car. That's what you're trying to do, correct?
yes,
Okay. And she was stopped, I think, ostensibly then for speeding. Did you give her a speeding ticket?
no.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Nothing further.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Subject for recall, please.
That's fine.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense, and you're not allowed to view anything about this trial. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, you may step down. State, call your next witness.
State calls Trooper Adam Garza.
I'm sorry, Judge.
Yes,
Do you mind if I ask him a couple more questions? I apologize. It might eliminate the need to recall him.
all right.
I apologize.
Just one moment. If you could retake the witness stand, please.
I'm sorry.
And you are still under oath. Yes, defense.
Just a couple of questions. We saw in the video, and I believe counsel for the state referred to it a couple of times, the time of being 1,900 hours or 1,800 hours. Is that correct? You recall that?
No,
Can I get you, if you would, please, would you show the body cam?
Are you referring to the time on the dash camera itself?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Because he said, I'm gonna move it forward and it would be like 19. I think at one time he said 19, 15, 50.
So the time on the dash cam and body camera, for whatever reason, is in Zulu time on dash camera. We do not have any control over that. I believe that's our tech. But if you back it up, I'm not too sure the time frame for Zulu time, but it is accurate based off of Zulu time.
Okay, well, the reason I want to bring it up just real quickly is because you said that you got involved about 1:20 PM.
Correct.
And the time shown, Zulu time, is roughly 1,800 hours or 1,900 hours, correct?
That I would have to look on the.
That's what I was referring to.
Okay.
Still want to play, Charlie?
Yes, if you would.
You say dash cam or body?
Whichever one shows I thought it was the
They both
body,
do.
and the body cam, I think. I'm sorry, that would be 3. Is that what you were using to move forward?
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yes,
what I would,
sir.
thank you, sir.
How would you like?
Excuse me, defense. State is asking what time you would like.
Just start it and we'll just stop it whenever it shows, if you don't mind. Mr. Stone, right, just stop it right there. Can you see that, officer?
Yes.
Up there, it says 1822.
Yes.
And that would be like military time would be like 6 o'clock. You agree with that?
Yes. Military. Yes.
But you said you got involved at 1:20, which would be 13:20, correct?
Yes.
1320. So you're talking about like a 5-hour difference.
For the time on there. Yes.
Yes, sir, that's something I want to clear up. Okay. It's a distinction from what's on there, but it's Zulu time. You explained that.
Yes.
But it's actually would be 1,300 hours in Texas time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's all I had. Thank you.
All right. State?
Nothing further.
All right. Rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense, and you're not allowed to watch anything. Just make sure you're available if either party would like to recall you.
Yes, sir.
All right, you may step down. State, call your next witness.
State calls Trooper Adam Garza.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.
All right, if you'll take a seat here and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so the members of the jury and the court reporter can hear. And if you'll state your name for the record.
Adam Garza.
All right, state.
Trooper Garza, how are you presently employed, sir?
I'm currently a special agent with the Texas Department of Public Safety.
And how long have you been with the Texas Department of Public Safety?
11 years.
And what have been your duties with Texas DPS so far?
Texas Highway Patrol Trooper, Texas Highway Patrol K-9 Trooper, and currently special agent.
And are you mainly stationed in the San Antonio area?
Yes, sir.
And just one moment. I'm sorry, did you say Texas Hall?
Texas Department of Public Safety,
No, but you said Texas something Patrol K-9
Texas Highway Patrol,
Highway.
Yes,
Okay,
highway.
all right, thank you.
THP.
And you're stationed in San Antonio?
Yes, sir.
Whereabouts in San Antonio?
Our regional office is 6502 South New Braunfels Avenue,
What part of town is that in?
the southeast side.
Do you recall being dispatched at all on August 8th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Judge, permission to publish states exhibit 2 previously admitted?
Defense?
Judge,
Uh,
we would re-urge the same objections we made as it relates to this stop.
All right, that will be overruled and you can publish.
And so Trooper, what were you dispatched for on August 8th of 2022?
Canine search.
What is a canine search?
It involves me arriving on scene, conducting either a free air screen or a consent search with my canine partner.
And who called you out that day?
It was a Bexar County Deputy Suarez.
Do you recall about what time you got called out?
I do not.
If you had a copy of your report, would that help you?
Yes, sir, it would.
And who was your canine with you on August 8th, 2022?
Her name was Fia, Fia, Fia.
Judge, may I approach?
Yes.
Showing you what's the Mark Station Exhibit 5. This is your report from that day. Please don't read off it, just use it to refresh your memory. And that was canine Fia, you said?
Yes, sir.
And how long had canine Fia been your canine?
I had recently retired my canine and she had only been my canine for a few months at that point.
What's the certification process like for these dogs?
We go through a yearly certification put on by our state canine coordinators at our headquarters in Austin. And then we certify bi-monthly every month after that.
And do y'all go at the same time together?
Yes, sir.
So you have some sort of working relationship with this dog?
Yes, sir.
I'm publishing States Exhibit 2, Your Honor. And about what time did you get out to the scene that day?
I believe I arrived on scene right before 2:15, 14-ish.
Find that for the record. I'm gonna go to 19:10:40. We are. Is that you on the camera there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Forward a bit to 19:14. 5.
1914.
05. And so what's the typical policy for doing an open, or what kind of sniff did you have this dog do that day?
It was a free air sniff.
And what is a free air sniff?
It's where the subject that's detained on the side of the road that's been stopped denies consent.
What are you doing here?
So with the way we run our dogs, we do it's what's called a cursory pass, which is this right here. And then we're about to go into our detail pass. We start every search at the left front headlamp. And that's where we pick up our detail.
What is she doing there?
I'm presenting the areas of odor where it steps out, which is typically the seams of the vehicle. So I presented her the door seam, and then instantly her breathing changed.
And when her breathing changes, what does that mean to you?
For us, that symbolizes a change of behavior.
And a change of behavior means what in terms of the overall search or the open air sniff?
She's in the odor of a narcotic.
And so once FIA has alerted on this car, what's the next step in this instance?
She started to scratch on the vehicle, which that's her final response. She's what we call an aggressive dog, not passive. Passive, they sit. Aggressive is a scratch.
Scratch to alert?
Yes, sir.
And once you've conducted your open air sniff with FIA, what do you do next?
I praise her off and I immediately put her in the Tahoe.
And do you participate in the search of this vehicle at all?
No, sir, I did not search this vehicle.
Can you just testify once more for the jury where FIA hit on this vehicle?
The driver's side door near the door handle.
No, nothing further. Pass the witness.
Agent Garza, good afternoon, sir. I take it you were, what shift were you working that day?
I believe it was a day shift. Typically, being canine, our shifts are very flexible. I'd have to actually go back and look at my,
But typically, is it a 10-hour shift for you a day?
yes, sir.
Right, okay. So this day you were just driving around and you got a call and you responded as quick as you could get there.
Correct.
You were not working on any kind of particular case with the Bear County Sheriff's Office on this day before you got that call, were you?
No, sir.
Okay, so just out of the blue for you.
Yes, sir.
And that's not unusual in your line of work at that time, was it?
No, sir. Many agencies typically call us.
Because they're not an unlimited number of dogs around, drug dogs.
I can't speak on SAPD or Bexar County, but I was the only DPS handler at the time.
Sure. Now those dogs are highly trained, are they not?
Yes, sir.
And they're trained to detect even small amounts of certain drugs, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And are certain dogs trained on certain drugs, like methamphetamine, let's say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so Thea was methamphetamine ready, I guess.
Yes, sir, among others.
Among others, okay. But so because they're so highly trained in small amounts, I mean, you said this was a free air sniff, and we saw what that meant.
Yes, sir.
Is that different than a kind of sniff that might be inside a residence?
So typically if it's a consent search, that means we can put our dogs inside the vehicle.
But free air would, if the dog is inside the vehicle, it's not free air?
No, sir. At that point, it's consent.
Right. But if a dog is inside a residence, let's say, it's consent or warrant or whatever, but it's not free air. Would you agree with that? I just don't understand the term free air, that's all.
I mean, it's basically just like I said, if they deny consent, that allows us to conduct a free air sniff as long as we have a lawful reason to be there.
But free air means walking around the car with the dog until they say,
No, sir. Our search pattern during the free air sniff, like I said, we have two passes. We have our cursory pass, which is the first one we conducted, and then we immediately go into our detail pass. And then after that, we pull the dog off and go back in.
okay, sure, thank you. Now, when the dog is inside a closed vehicle, if it was, would it be more sensitive to the smell or than it would be on the outside?
I mean, the dog is going to perform the same way regardless if it's inside or outside.
Okay. And I think I asked you, they're very sensitive, even small amounts of drugs.
Yes, sir.
But this was not a small amount of drugs, was it?
I honestly, I saw the weight on my search report, but I didn't stay for the search.
Okay, you're right. But if you knew it was over 300 grams of methamphetamine, you would say that's not a small amount of drugs.
Correct. It's not a small amount, but
Okay. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Sir, let me show you defendant's exhibit number 12. Do you recognize that person?
yes, sir.
And you had some brief dealings with Melissa Yanes, did you not?
Just when I arrived on scene, I give her the same kind of brief that I give all people that I'm about to run my partner on.
That's all I mean. I mean, you spoke to her casually, I mean, professionally in what you have to do.
Yes, sir.
You know, the routine you need to go through to do your job.
Yes, sir.
And you did that here.
Yes, sir.
And is this the woman that, whose vehicle, that black Jeep, is that the one you searched, you and your dog did the free air search on, sniff on?
Yes, sir.
That looks like her?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, we offer defendant's exhibit number 9. It's from the
Sorry,
state of
was it 9 or
Texas. I
12?
said 9. Defendant's exhibit number 12, We received that from the state of Texas.
Any
No
objection?
Your
All
Honor.
right, defense exhibit number 12 is admitted without objection.
May I pass it around? Your Honor?
Yes,
You don't want to put, sorry.
That's easier. Thank you.
okay.
That's Melissa Yana is the person whose Jeep, you and Fia went around free air sniff.
Yes.
That's all we have. Thank you for coming in today.
All right, state.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excused on our behalf.
He's fine for excuse me, Judge.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. Only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense, and you're not allowed to watch anything about this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You may step down. State, call your next witness.
State calls Deputy Brian Wolf, Judge.
All right, sir, excuse me, if you'll take a seat here. All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. Just make sure you keep your voice up for members of the jury and the court reporter. If you'll state your name for the record.
Brian Wolf.
All right, state.
Hi, Deputy Wolf. How long have you, can you tell the jury what your profession is?
I've been with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office for approximately 27 years. Since 2015, I've been assigned to narcotics.
And how many arrests have you done during that time?
Hundreds. It's been a long career.
Do you have any education that is specifically related to law enforcement?
Yes, I've been through several academies at the Sheriff's Office, including ongoing training every year.
Okay, and were you working on August 8th, 2022?
Yes, I was.
Were you in uniform?
No, I was not.
Okay, so you were in plainclothes?
I've been assigned to plainclothes since 2015.
Was your vehicle like a marked squad car?
No, it's an unmarked pickup truck, no markings whatsoever.
So street clothes, unmarked car.
Correct.
And what time did you get over to 224 Majestic Road?
It'll have been sometime in the morning after 9 o'clock.
What were your duties as part of the operation there?
I was asked to make location, assist with possible rolling surveillance.
Okay. And so where are you parked in relation to the house?
In relation to the house, I went, I guess it's maybe two, at the most three houses past it, parked in the cul-de-sac, looking back directly at the house.
Okay. And who else is out there with you?
Deputy Rios, Deputy Salazar, and we had a marked unit also, Suarez.
And did you, on August 8th, did you see a black Jeep?
Yes, that was parked in the driveway originally when I got there.
And what did you notice about the black Jeep?
I believe it was a little bit lifted, had a little aftermarket accessories. That's about it.
Did somebody get into the Jeep?
At one point, yes, a female got into the Jeep.
Did she drive anywhere?
Originally, she backed out, paused. Instead of exiting towards the exit of the residence or the neighborhood, she came up into the cul-de-sac, went very slowly by my vehicle, I guess checking me out to see what I was, and then went back to the residence.
And can you explain that to the jury more? What do you mean checking you out?
Sometimes we run into counter surveillance or people are just extremely nervous. They're trying to see who's watching them and they'll come and check our vehicles out. I've had them get out and approach my vehicle, look inside it before, just to see who I am.
But she didn't do that, right? She's in her car the whole time?
Correct. She just slowly drove past and then went back into the driveway of the residence.
You saw her looking at you?
Correct.
Okay. What happened after she drove back to the residence?
She got out of the vehicle, went back inside, came out carrying a small object, a box or bag, got back into the vehicle, backed out and departed the location.
Okay. And what did you do at that time?
I followed a good distance back. I put it on the radio that vehicles leaving the neighborhood. I followed until the traffic stop was conducted where I parked across the street watching it and didn't make approach until after everything was done.
Are you familiar with the term rolling surveillance?
Yes.
What, can you tell the jury what that means?
That's basically when a vehicle gets mobile, we're going to follow behind it. We try not to be seen, trying to see sometimes where it goes, who's driving, what their activities are going to be.
Were you a part of mobile surveillance on the Black Jeep?
Yes, I was.
And who else was doing that with you?
Myself and Deputy Rios.
And were you part of the traffic stop?
No, I parked across the street and just watched the whole thing.
Okay. So after the traffic stop, you're not interacting with the driver of the Jeep. Where are you in relation to the traffic stop?
I went into a neighborhood across the roadway from it because they stopped on the shoulder of the roadway. I turned around and just watched from short distance the whole time.
And was anything recovered as part of that traffic stop?
Yeah, Deputy Rios advised me they had recovered something. I made location, said they had narcotics.
And did you go look at what they had recovered?
Yes, it seemed like a good amount of alleged crystal methamphetamine.
And what'd you do after that?
I departed location, went down to what we call South Tower, where the judge is located. I obtained a search warrant at that time.
Okay, tell the jury about what's it like getting a search warrant? What do you do for that?
Basically, I have to go downtown or my office, type up the affidavit, type up the warrant. Okay. Type up the affidavit, type up the warrant. That'll go before the judge down there. Judge will review it. If they approve it, they'll sign it, and I have to get it logged in at the clerk's office afterwards.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
This look familiar to you?
Yes, that would be my affidavit and my search warrant.
Okay, and how do you recognize it?
I signed it
Okay,
and I typed it up.
You typed it up? Okay,
Yes.
so the information here, you typed starting on page 1 and 2, and is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And the judge signed that there?
Yes, Judge Jansen also signed it.
And then the third page, what is that?
That's the actual warrant.
The warrant
Yes.
itself? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Diana. And which judge signed this here?
Judge Jansen.
And did Judge Jansen have the opportunity to review your affidavit?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I offer State's Exhibit 6 into evidence.
We raised objections we previously made, and we've also hearsay as it relates to statements to the content of this.
All right. If I could see the exhibit, which one is it? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short recess and we will be back no later than 4. There's just a matter I need to take up. Remember my previous rulings. You're not allowed to discuss amongst yourself anything about this case. You're not allowed to discuss internally. You're not allowed to do any investigation. Everything that you need to know about this case is to come from inside the courtroom. Make sure your badges are visible because, as I previously stated, sometimes people are talking about cases and they may be talking about this case. And if they're talking about a case and they see your badge number, they'll stop talking about it, okay? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, State, you had offered into evidence State's Exhibit number 6, and defense is the court's understanding that you're withdrawing your objection to hearsay with regards to State's Exhibit number 6.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. State's Exhibit number 6 then will be admitted.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
So this is the affidavit you prepared, Deputy?
Yes.
Okay, and this is not, this will be going back with the jury, but I just wanted to, this is what an affidavit for a search warrant looks like, right? And then it's signed there by the judge, right?
Yes, myself and the judge.
And then, so what happens after you get a search warrant? Do you, what did you do next?
I notified the officers that were at location that the warrant was signed. And that way they could start securing the residence.
Okay, so do you need to physically be there with the warrant for them to serve the warrant?
They can go ahead and detain them. I arrived with the warrant afterwards.
Okay,
We didn't search until warrant was there.
okay. And did you take part in the search of the house?
I assisted a little bit, yes.
And what is the address there on the search warrant? Let me, can I approach her?
Yes.
It's gonna be 224 Majestic Grove.
And is that in Bear County, Texas?
Yes, it is.
And read me this line here, the in Bear County, Texas.
In Bexar County, state of Texas, and being the premises under control and charge of Melissa Yanes and known to be occupied
Excuse
by.
me. If you can slow down.
I'm sorry, yes. Under the control and charge of Melissa Yanes and known to be occupied by John Meyer is a place where a controlled substance, to wit, methamphetamine, is unlawfully possessed in violation of the Texas Health and Safety Code, and that such belief of the applicant is founded upon the following information.
Thank you. You took part in the search. Did you seize anything?
At the residence?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
But were you the, what is the term for the person who bags everything up and takes it to the property room?
that would be the evidence tech.
Were you the evidence tech in this case?
No, I was not.
Do you know who was?
I believe that's gonna be Salazar.
Okay. Did you take photos? Is that part of your duties of the search?
No,
And you weren't responsible for bagging any of the narcotics or anything else that was seized?
no, sir.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Defense.
Officer Wolf, I have seen your affidavit that you prepared. Did you prepare an offense report or a supplement to an offense report in this case?
I did not do the offense report, no.
So the only thing I've got as far as you actually having written something down is the affidavit.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let me visit with you a little bit about August the 8th.
Okay.
Do you recall what time you arrived out there at the residence?
I do not recall the exact time. It'll been after 9. Our normal start time is 9. So once I was asked to go that way,
And were you in a marked patrol vehicle or an not undercover, but you know what I mean, a non-marked
yeah,
vehicle,
I was in an unmarked vehicle.
unmarked vehicle? And were you in plain clothes?
Yes, I was.
Were you wearing a body cam?
No, I was not.
When you got to the scene of the residence and from at the morning part, was, to your knowledge, was Rios and Salazar already there?
Yes, they were.
At some point, did you come into the gated area?
Yes, I did.
And did Rios leave the gated area?
Rios was parked by the entrance. I couldn't tell you exactly where.
And you parked in the cul-de-sac?
Correct.
And how long, you said that you got there a little bit after 9 or around 9. How long were you in the cul-de-sac before you see Miss Yanez leave the residence?
It was a couple hours at least.
And did you ever see John Meyer enter or exit the residence?
Personally, no.
And when you say that Miss Yanez left, then that would be around 11. Is that fair?
I don't recall.
I'm not trying to pin you down. But you said that you saw her leave and then she drove down the cul-de-sac and drove slowly by your vehicle.
That's correct.
And then she went back to the residence
Yes,
and went inside the residence.
yes.
How long was she inside of the residence before she returned?
Not long at all.
Less than a minute?
Probably less than a minute.
And you mentioned in the offense report that she had left the residence and went, I think you said 100 feet, and then went back to the residence.
She came through the cul-de-sac, like I said, yes, that's,
Well, you said affiant observed Yanez travel only about 100 feet, then turn around and go back to the residence.
that's a good approximation of the distance.
But you don't mention anything about her slowing down and looking at your vehicle.
No, I did not.
Okay. So you had, so then let's jump ahead then. You follow the black Jeep from the gated area to where it's eventually stopped and searched, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you don't participate in, but you view the search.
I viewed the traffic stop from across the street, yes.
And then you take the information that you gather from the officer, I think it's Suarez, that performed the search of the car, and you get that information and you take that to Judge Jansen and Judge Jansen signs a warrant.
Correct.
All right. Let's talk about the warrant for a little bit, or some of your affidavit. You have that in front of you?
No, I do not.
Okay. If I ask you a question about the affidavit you don't recall, let me know and I'll, yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna get you a copy of it so you can follow along with me, okay?
Okay.
And the affidavit is something that you swore to under oath,
Correct.
just like you're under oath today, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you said that the premises were under the control and charge of Melissa Yanez. You see that?
Yes, Melissa Yanes and known to be occupied by John Meyer.
Let's talk about the known to be occupied by John Meyer. Did you know anybody else? Let me ask you this. Did you know them to be occupied by Michael John McKenzie,
No, I did not.
David Aldrete,
No,
Darian Sandoval,
no,
Melissa Yanez? Well, I guess we covered her.
yes,
John Sparks,
no,
Kelly Elizabeth Couples.
no.
You said that you mentioned that it was occupied by John Meyer. Did you make any effort to see who else was occupying or that residence on August the 8th?
Not at that time, no.
Well, you say not at that time. Did you at some other time?
No, I apologize. So once we're in location, then I realized there's a lot of people inside there.
And a lot of people inside the house, you understand that Mr. Meyer was in the house, correct?
Correct.
And Michael John McKenzie was in the house, correct?
I don't recall everyone's names there.
Okay,
I apologize.
that's about all right. Melissa Yanez was not in the house. You had seen Miss Yanez. She was arrested and taken by Suarez, I believe, to downtown and processed through the jail, I assume.
I believe so.
Okay. And you know anything about John Sparks or Kelly Elizabeth Couples?
I was not the case agent that day.
Do you know anything about them?
No.
Okay. So then you go downtown and you ask a judge for the warrant to authorize you to search the premises, correct?
Yes,
And in doing that, you mentioned Melissa Yanez and John Meyer at the top of the affidavit. And is it fair to say that below that line, there's no other mention of John Meyer?
that's correct.
And did you determine or say in your affidavit that the affiant has reason to believe and does believe that Melissa Yanez is in possession of the above described controlled substances, to wit, methamphetamine?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and so what you're saying there is you're not talking about the methamphetamine that was in the vehicle. You're talking about the methamphetamine, if any, that's at the house.
And I have to reread. Can you say it again, please?
Sir?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And let me walk up here. I'm not gonna try to cover over you, but let me just show you where I'm reading, so it might help us kind of orient ourselves. Right here. He says Affian has reason to believe and does believe that Melissa Yanez is an unlawful possession of the above described controlled substance, to wit methamphetamine. You
Correct.
see that?
Yes.
And so what we're talking about there is not methamphetamine at the car, right?
Correct.
You're talking about, I have probable cause to believe that Melissa Yanez is in unlawful possession of methamphetamine at the residence, right? And that's because you said that she was in control and charge of the residence, correct?
She was the one observed leaving the residence, and after the traffic stop was found in possession of methamphetamine.
I'm sorry, she was the one seen leaving the residence and what?
After the traffic stop was found in possession.
Thank you. Just so that we're clear, the methamphetamine that you're talking about here is suspected methamphetamine in the residence.
They suspected that it came from the residence, yes, and that was the basis for the affidavit.
No, is that what you're saying?
Correct. The black box or whatever it was that came from the residence that she walked out with, it was later found in the traffic stop that it contained methamphetamine. So that,
You swear to this around 4 o'clock, right?
let me see.
4:15.
Correct.
This is 3 hours after she's been arrested. Right?
I don't recall the time she was arrested.
Well,
I
look,
departed the location, went downtown.
All right. You signed this at 4:15.
Okay.
Assume with me that she was arrested around 1:30, something of that nature.
To my knowledge, you'd have to ask the case agent. I don't know if she was taken downtown or brought back to the residence so the warrant could be served.
Did you ever see her back at the residence?
I don't recall.
Well, let me ask you something. You've known you were going to testify in this case for a while, correct?
Correct.
Have you gone back to read anybody else's offense reports to refresh your recollection and memory about what happened?
I've gone back over my involvement. That was pretty much it.
Which you just said was limited to preparation of the affidavit as
Correct.
far as a written statement.
Correct.
Okay, so you haven't read anybody else's offense reports or supplement?
I have not read the reports.
Have you gone back and looked at anybody's body cams?
I'm not the case agent. He would have downloaded and had those body
I
cams.
didn't ask you if you were the case agent. I asked you if you'd gone back to look at those to refresh your recollection and memory so you could testify in front of this jury.
No, I have not.
So you say in the affidavit that you believe Melissa Yanez is in unlawful possession of methamphetamine.
Correct.
Now, you're talking about methamphetamine in the residence.
The methamphetamine that came from, so there's, as I've said before, there was a traffic stop that we observed her leave with the box. Traffic stop was conducted, narcotics were found in the box.
I got that.
That's what I based my affidavit on.
I understand that, but you're talking about, I want to search the residence. It's what you're saying to the judge, right?
Correct.
And I want to search the residence, judge. And I want to search it for methamphetamine,
Correct.
correct? And you have probable cause to believe that Melissa Yanez is in possession of methamphetamine, the methamphetamine in the house, correct?
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. So after the judge signs this, you take it back to Majestic Grove, correct?
Yes.
And then at that point, do officers enter the residence?
They entered and secured it prior to my arrival.
And then you came in, and is that when the search started?
I gave Deputy Salazar the warrant so that he could go ahead and read it. And the search didn't start until after they were read their rights and the warrant was read.
Were you there when they were read the rights?
I was not in the room.
Well, let me ask it a little bit different way. When you arrived, had they been read their rights already, or do you know?
I don't know.
Had they been detained?
Yes, they were detained.
Do you recall how many individuals were detained?
No, I do not.
Now, they had been detained and they did not start the search until you showed up and gave Salazar the warrant, correct?
They didn't start until after he read them their rights and the warrant.
And then once the search starts, what do you do?
I was helping a little bit of searching, but we focused on vehicles in the garage that we were trying to remove.
Say it again.
There was, I don't remember what was in the garage. It was an off-road vehicle or something. And they were trying to get that out and I was trying to help them with that.
Okay. So was that vehicle secured and taken as a part of the search?
You'd have to ask the case agent on that. He's the one in charge of all of that.
Okay. I'm just asking you if you know. You said that you're helping them get a vehicle out of the garage. All right. I'm just asking you about the vehicle, and you said there's a vehicle in the garage that you were helping the other officers try to remove from the garage?
Yes,
And do you know if it was removed from the garage?
yes, it was removed from the garage.
Okay. And do you know if it was placed on a flatbed truck?
If they did end up taking it, then it probably would have been put on a flatbed or a regular tow truck.
Okay. And did you assist with other items that were seized? I'm talking about large items now, like, you see that?
Not very well.
That's not a very good. Okay. Can you see those?
Is it?
That's
I'm not that.
Right.
Getting a very good look.
Yeah, how about that?
Okay, toolboxes.
If you recall those
I believe there was some toolboxes rolled out.
rolled out,
Correct,
okay, that means removed from the residence and taken as well,
correct.
okay? And do you recall the interior just being a mess?
Correct. The interior was a mess.
And do you recall it being under extensive refurbishing or refurnishing?
It was a little strange. There was like dartboards and what do they call them?
Let me ask you this. Do you recall there being areas where the sheetrock was taken down and only the studs were available?
I believe there was one area like that, yes.
And you recall there being parts of the home where the wall had been taken entirely out except for maybe a stud or two?
There was a center section in the main room in the back where they had built some sort of a structure. And there was things hanging from it. There was a crossbow. That's what I was trying to remember. A crossbow. They were shooting into the wall and it was.
Let me ask you about this. Do you recall there being a table saw in the house?
Not that I recall.
Oops. I got it. Yeah, thanks. Let me show you what has been marked as defendant's exhibit number 2 and ask you if you can recognize that.
What am I looking at?
This picture right here.
Oh,
You recognize that being a table saw
that's a table saw.
from inside the residence.
I don't recall it, but that is a table saw.
I understand that. But my question is, do you recall this being inside the residence? Does this appear to you to be a picture taken from inside the residence?
It does. I believe that's Deputy Rios.
And does this appear to be an accurate picture? That
Yeah.
was taken from the body
I
cam?
believe so, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I apologize. And let me show you what has been marked as defendant's exhibit 3 and ask you if you can identify that.
Caulk gun?
That's probably a caulk gun, and I think those are probably some braces. You recognize those?
I
inside
do
the
not
house?
recall those, no.
All right. So everyone, court reporter has to take down everything that everybody is saying.
Right.
So I know sometimes it gets to be a little bit conversational. But when you all are talking over each other and not letting each other finish the question or the sentence, that makes it extremely difficult for the court reporter to pick up anything. And what's going to end up happening is the record is going to say that parties were speaking at the same time. And that's what will be in the record.
Apologize.
All right, thank you. You may continue.
Thank you, Judge. So I take it you don't recognize anything, any recollection of this one?
I do not
That's
remember that.
perfectly fine. But you do recognize defendants too.
Yes.
Judge, we would offer defendants two. Yeah. It's that interior. Soft.
No objection to two, Your Honor.
All right, defense exhibit number 2 is admitted without objection.
And just so that you're clear, you recognized what you thought was this item in defendant's exhibit 3, and that's what you described as a caulk.
That's a caulk gun from personal experience. I
Okay.
recognize it.
And that's like you put caulk around the bathtub or whatever.
For anything, a window, a bathtub, a door.
Okay. Thank you. That is not admitted.
Oh,
But
this is,
those are admitted.
that's,
Let me show you defendant's exhibit number 10 and ask you if you recognize that.
no,
And I believe that you were asked on direct if you took any photographs and you said you did not.
correct.
And did you search the entirety of the home?
Myself, no.
Do you recall what parts of the home you went into?
As I told you earlier, I was in the garage trying to help with that vehicle.
I'm just making sure that just only the garage.
I walked through the residence, yes, but I didn't extensively search the residence.
Do you recall if there was a dog, search dog or sniff dog that was at the residence?
I don't recall at the residence. I know there was on the traffic stop.
When you were there, do you recall these vehicles being parked in front of or in the driveway of the home?
Not that I recall, no,
You don't recall those?
no.
It's been admitted into evidence. It's defendant's exhibit number 11. Do you recognize this from the home?
No.
I have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
When you were there at 9 o'clock, did you see any cars coming or going to the vehicle, to the home?
Not that I recall.
And you stayed there for a couple of hours, and the only activity you saw was Yanez coming out and getting in her vehicle.
That's all I recall, yes.
Judge will pass the witness.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excuse from the stage, Judge.
Could we have him just subject to recall?
Yes.
Please.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone except for attorneys for the state or the defense. You're not allowed to view anything. And just make sure you're available in case either party wishes to recall you. Okay, all right, you may step down.
Thank you.
All right, Dinah, we can go off the record. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the court anticipates. Now, mind you, this is just an approximation on my part from what I've heard today. We're going to recess at this point. We're going to come back tomorrow at 1:30. And the reason why we'll be starting at 1:30 is because even though we're in jury trial, I still have a morning docket. But I'm going to break that docket off at 12 to give everybody a chance, the court staff to have their lunch and for me to have my lunch. And then we're going to resume this case at 1:30. Now, tomorrow, the courthouse, the parking garage, jurors who are called in every morning, there are a lot of people, and everybody in this building parks at that parking garage. So if you want to be assured of a place at the parking garage, it's probably best to come probably like 12:15 maybe or 12:30, because usually people go off campus for lunch break and then court doesn't resume till 1:30. I'm anticipating that you all may be able to start deliberating on this case on Friday. So if deliberation starts on Friday, we're going to stay all Friday. And on Friday, we're going to start in the morning at 9:30-ish. I have a few cases in the morning, but I anticipated everybody for those cases are here on time. They'll be done by 9:30. Now, on Friday, there are no jurors that are called in unless a court has reserved jurors to specifically come in for that day. So there'll be more parking space available. Again, you can bring your lunch. On Friday, you can bring breakfast if you want to bring breakfast. There's refrigerator, toaster, and microwave in the back. Any questions about anything? All right, the other thing, and I know you're going to get tired of me saying these instructions, but I have to make sure I do it so it's at the forefront of your mind. You're not allowed to do any investigation on this case. Everything that you need to know about this case is to come from inside this courtroom and nowhere else. Does everyone understand? You're not allowed to view anything. If you see anything on media or if you see anything on the news or anywhere, just ignore it, turn it off. Do not let anyone talk to you about this case because you're not allowed to discuss with them what is happening in this case. You're not to start deliberating with each other. You're not to start deliberating internally with yourself. I will give you instructions when it's time for you to begin your deliberation. Does everyone understand? All right. With that being said, you are excused. And guess what? You're going to beat the 5 o'clock traffic. All right. Everyone, please rise